In the early 1980s, Cannon Films purchased the rights to the Death Wish franchise from producer Dino De Laurentiis. That's right, it's a rape revenge film with all the color and style of Breakin' and the Apple. I see nothing bad coming of this. Golan Globus's plans for a Death Wish sequel was announced prior to actually securing the rights, which led De Laurentiis into threatening them with legal action unless they kept up their end of the bargain. The original film's director, Michael Winner, was brought on to direct, and when De Laurentiis had second thoughts about selling the rights, he decided to make his own vigilante flick, Fighting Back. Gentlemen, please, there's plenty of muggers on the streets for you to shoot! The original 1974 film was met with controversy upon release. The film was the story of architect Paul Kersey, a man who turns to vigilante justice after the rape of his wife and daughter. The source novel by Brian Garfield was a warning against vigilantism, while the film arguably promoted the concept. The original film is today regarded as a provocative, well-made character study of a man who suffers a great loss and is pushed to the edge during a rise of crime in his city. The sequels, however...
When murder and rape are the crimes, Bronson is the only punishment. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 2.
Yeah, they got Charles Bronson shooting people! It's like the difference between Taxi Driver and the Punisher! They probably shouldn't exist in the same universe. At least Charles Bronson is the only one to declare revenge on cloudy skies. I realize Cannon Films rushed their movies into production, but they at least could have waited for the buildings to be completed first. Producer Menachem Golan does seem like the kind of person who would hire an actor based solely on his last name being Cannon. Hey look, it was either between this guy or JD New World Pictures. And Lawrence Fishburne III? I had no idea Lawrence Fishburne was old enough for his grandson to be in a 1982 movie. The opening features talk radio telling us about the current crime rate in Los Angeles.
Rapes have increased 61% and lesser crimes are up too.
I, for one, can't hear my crime forecast without hearing some sweet Jimmy Page beats behind it. Charles Bronson returns as Paul Kersey, who spends his days standing around and listening to people debate punishment for criminals.
There are others who believe that prison never cured anyone. And judging by the rise in violence, it never deterred anyone either.
I agree! We need to skip prison and just let Charles Bronson shoot them in the head. Due process is for kids' films. Bronson's real-life wife, Jill Ireland, plays Kersey's girlfriend, Jerry, a local reporter. Bronson insisted on her involvement, probably to see if he and Jill Ireland could outnumber the amount of films featuring both Christopher George and Linda Day George. But who can argue with this chemistry?
Oh, and Los Angeles Magazine's gone for my idea of a series of articles on criminal rehabilitation.
That's great.
Yes, I'm totally interested in what you're saying. Kersey's daughter Carol returns from the original film, here spending her time as a mute who lives in a mental institution due to her rape from the first one.
Will she ever come back to me? Will she ever be normal again?
You're her father, Mr. Kersey. You can only give her your love.
And if that doesn't work, then Bronson will have to make his own war room, where he takes people into the closet and shoots them. Or at least take her out to a flea market and get her some ice cream. What's the worst that could happen? That's all on him. He shouldn't have bought ice cream from a group of street punks. 80s action, where there's always a seedy alley somewhere nearby. He may not have gotten his wallet back, but he teaches the punk a lesson by throwing the guy's knife off camera. And then it's back to ice cream.
What happened, Paul?
Nothing.
That's Bronson for I cornered a man in an alley, and this time I let him live. Meanwhile, as his housemaid sprays acid on all of his pictures, foreshadowing pulls right up in front of the house. They're the toughs from earlier, and boy, are they smoking all the drugs.
Super fine.
Damn. Lawrence Fishburne III looks just like Lawrence Fishburne. If David Hess and Fred Lincoln also show up to the same location, it's gonna get very awkward. But these are murderers who were polite enough to ring the doorbell first. Although some of them are just plain rude. They still have Kersey's wallet, and no one chases them into an alley and leaves and then gets away with it. So they wait patiently for Kersey to return home. You should probably stay outside. The music is telling me that it's significantly less rapey outdoors. They attack Paul upon entry and kidnap his daughter. Good thing they're covering the mouth of a mute girl. Jerry, however, is continuing her show, The Symbolism Hour.
Why do we kill people who kill people? To show that killing is wrong.
Because Commando would probably be a really boring movie without it? The original Death Wish portrayed crime as extremely hard to watch, gritty, and gruesome. This movie is just straight up trying to be titillating. And given how the character of Carol went through an unspeakable horror in the first film, I'm sure this movie will treat her with the utmost respect. See? I'm sure she died a quick death, being impaled on a fence. And in case you don't remember the first one.
We understand that the same sort of thing happened in New York City.
Some muggers followed my wife and daughter home from the market. The police there got a very good description of the muggers, too.
Yes, the muggers looked suspiciously like Jeff Goldblum. And just watch how this movie breaks the news to Kersey about his daughter.
We just got some news about your daughter.
How is she?
She's been better. If you're upset that I've forgotten the rape and murder of the housemaid, that's alright. The movie has also forgotten it. Although, what did she say earlier?
There are those who say heavier prison sentences and an increased police facility are enough.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh, she believed in the system, so I guess she deserved to die. While his daughter survived the first film, his wife was murdered in the attack. So now when he visits his wife's grave, he needs to go to New York, while his daughter is in LA. That's convenient. At least he knows it was you all along, Mr. Son. A good morning coffee is always served with 2 spoonfuls of justice and a cup of comeuppance. Oh, he's gonna build a fire so he can make his own sun and then shoot it. But it's back to work. He's building a model so that I can make a Zoolander reference, but sorry, not biting. And here's the producer's motto in a nutshell.
I don't give a damn about awards.
Oh, don't say that. This movie was nominated for Worst Picture at the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, but lost to Inchon. Huh. So somebody actually has seen Inchon. Now back to designing exterior shots for T.J. Hooker episodes. While in the original film, Kersey was a broken man full of desperation and conflict. In this, it simply feels like he was just waiting for an excuse to go kill some people and eat a bucket of chicken. At least he knows for sure that Patty Smythe and Scandal didn't do it. Well, I guess this is a thing I'm doing now. Sure is a lot of inner conflict I'm going through. But he has picked a great hotel for it. See? The light turns on the movie's slick riffs. The movie was also nominated for a Razzie for Worst Original Score. This is the same year that they nominated Ennio Morricone's score from The Thing. Because of course they did. But look at how this movie uses its music. It makes using a phone unnecessarily intense. Sometimes. See, the more colorful your dress is, the movie can also be a jaunty little number. Kersey never did find the attackers from the first one. In part 2, however, he instantly finds some of them. And if these punks can't pay attention to spray paint, they deserve to die. He's looking at them in this abandoned luxury liner. And from their clothes, he's breaking up their meeting to start their very own West Hollywood gay club. Too bad it's broken up by vengeance and one-liners.
You believe in Jesus?
Yes, I do.
Well, you're gonna meet him.
Why the hell is that guy going to heaven? When is the soundtrack gonna get needlessly intense again? Duct tape! Kersey's shenanigans have already made guy in a chair in an empty room news. He spends his time in his hotel room and at home because who would want to eat a bowl of cereal in this dump? Also, the hotel room is much closer to the arcade, and Charles Bronson has to get his crystal castles on. Plus, he stops this assault on William Shatner and his wife. There you go, get those tits out. What would this movie be without a sad erection? One guy gets away, and the set designer spills blood all over the ground. Kersey is certainly an amateur. He's walking around with absolutely no cover, where any piece of machinery can just jump out at him. But while still leaving him room for a one-liner.
Goodbye.
That guy ain't gonna meet Jesus at all! The victims, however, meet up with the social commentary police.
He was a very good citizen, that's what he was.
He was a killer.
That guy saved our lives, damn it. Where the hell were you guys, giving out parking tickets?
Don't call these police unless you want to get stuck in a very topical argument. Honey, if you could not pick at my bullet wound, that would be great. The cop in charge of finding Kersey in the previous film was Detective Ochoa, played by Vincent Gardenia.
But that doesn't mean that he's the Los Angeles vigilante.
No, sir.
Oh no, playing sick isn't gonna get you out of this movie, Vincent. At the end of Death Wish, Gardenia finds the mysterious vigilante, but lets him go by telling others that he was simply just another mugging victim. But here...
Paul Kersey now lives in Los Angeles.
You suggesting that Kersey's out there killing again?
Paul Kersey was an interesting man.
He'll just openly tell anyone, and it sounds like Paul Kersey was given the superhero defense of non-prosecution.
We had him and we didn't prosecute. A damn good reason. Street crime was down 50%.
The LAPD sends Ochoa to meet with Paul to make sure that if caught, Kersey won't spill the beans that the NYPD let him go. I guess that's easier than just simply prosecuting him. The first film actually ended with Paul moving to Chicago, but since I guess there's no crime in Chicago, he moved to LA. We do get to see the seedier nightlife of LA though, such as this wig shop, which sells the perfect look if you're a 70s porn star or posing for an FBI Most Wanted photo. Hey, he's even run into Juan! What's up, Juan? Boy, this sure is street life through a microscope. This is gonna get intense. And then Bronson shot him for public drunkenness. And for not sharing. Not that Detective Ochoa seems any less addicted to the sauce.
I'm going back to the hotel. I want to lie down.
A nap sounds better to Vincent Gardenia than continuing this movie. Just watch as he actually breaks into Jerry's apartment to lay down.
It's all right, Miss Nichols. I'm a policeman.
So you could just break into someone's house to fall asleep on the chair? I'm not sure that's a thing. One thing's definitely for sure, Ochoa is a narc who spills all the beans to Kersey's girlfriend.
He killed 9 people in New York City 4 years ago.
Wait, 4 years ago? This movie was made 8 years after the first Death Wish. So you're telling me this is taking place in 1978?
Super fine.
Bullshit, this is 1978! Hopefully Jerry picks a subtle way to bring up these accusations.
Where do you think I've been?
Killing muggers?
So she finally saw one of his movies. I sure hope it was Once Upon a Time in the West. Paul denies his addiction to killing muggers, so let's see how this sits with Jerry.
Stay the night?
I thought you'd never ask.
It's not that she believes him, it's just that vigilante justice happens to be her fetish. That and mustaches. The soundtrack gets extra confusing, as I'm pretty sure the Jaws theme starts playing. This just confirms my theory that if Charles Bronson played the shark in Jaws the Revenge, it would have been a significantly better revenge film. Ochoa follows Paul through the night, and he sure is sneaky. Pretending to have a cold didn't work. Now Gardenia's actively trying to kill himself. Can you blame him with dialogue like this?
Follow that bus.
It isn't moving.
When it moves, follow it.
The cab driver doesn't know how bus stops work. That's a thing that just happened. You know, while adding Electric Boogaloo as the subtitle to any sequel is a joke that got old decades ago, this is one of the only times where it's slightly appropriate. Why is it so easy for him to find the rapists in this movie? Good, they're delivering all the ammunition needed for Death Wish 3, and Cowboy Curtis is gonna love these 6-shooters. They better have a good reason for bringing Ochoa back for this. And immediately killing him off isn't a good reason. Plus, he told the cab driver to wait for him while giving him half of a $100 bill as an incentive to stay parked. Guess the cab driver's gonna die waiting for him. Speaking of deaths, looks like Lawrence Fishburne IV will have to carry on the family name. Then it's settled. 80s boomboxes, while gigantic, are not big enough to stop a bullet. The debate is over. Oh good, they were nice enough to give him a dying cough.
Axel, you're on a coffee break. Go get that son of a bitch.
Yeah, okay, settle down. This movie's not great, but it's not as bad as Beverly Hills Cop 3! The LAPD is so determined to find this vigilante that he interrogates the mugger by pressing on his bullet wound with a pistol, thus causing the man to die after questioning. So I guess that's okay. There's only one guy left to kill, so Bronson is just waiting around to get the call.
3A68, subject's residence located as 914 Fillmore.
Ooh boy, now he's gonna kill him for waking him out of a sound sleep. The final mugger's name is Nirvana, so this goes right along with the theory that Charles Bronson killed Kurt Cobain. Here's a movie so classy that after Nirvana smacks his girlfriend and Bronson shoots at him, it's still nice enough to cut to a shot of titties. Nirvana may have been arrested, but that simply won't do, because he ruined Bronson's perfectly good shirt. He better compose himself. The pointless love story is coming back.
Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. I saw it.
Do you know anything about it?
No more than you do.
When Bronson gets nervous, he doesn't pee himself, he bleeds himself. That's kind of badass. But Nirvana has the old I was on drugs excuse to escape jail time.
But psychiatric testimony indicates that he was under the influence of PCP, a mind-altering drug.
Whoa, I stand corrected. It is a good defense. No one told me it was PCP. Oh, did I say the love story was pointless? My mistake. The two actors, who again are married in real life, totally seem into this.
Will you marry me?
Are you serious?
It's just that everyone you know dies, Paul. Marrying you is very risky.
Let's get smashed.
And that's why she needs to get drunk in order to go through with it. But before they can run off to be married, Paul steals the ID off a badge at the mental ward so that he can make his own ID, thus sneaking in to kill Nirvana. Luckily, Charles Cyphers is manning the door, so he brings up Annie Brackett. That way they can both bond over the loss of their daughters. That'll get him in just fine, and even have a jolly commentary about therapy.
It's all done with kindness now. Isn't that right, Doctor? Therapy.
Call it what you like.
So basically the subtitle they're going for is Death Wish 2, Fuck Therapy. To be fair though, Paul does subject Nirvana to electroshock therapy. And the guy probably won't kill anyone else again. Paul, you are in so much trouble.
I'll give you 3 minutes till I ring the alarm.
Charles Cyphers really wants to see a Death Wish 3. It was wise of him to let him go. But when Jerry finds out about Paul's antics, she doesn't report him to the police, but the marriage is most certainly off. Do we see any kind of reaction from Paul about this? Any sadness? Nope, he's got more important things to do, such as sequel baiting.
I'll be there. Are you sure you're free? What else would I be doing?
Well, he's several stories tall now, for one. And he's shooting at random buildings. Why would a building rape someone? The man has gone insane! Death Wish 2 was a success at the box office, but a flop with critics, earning a rare 0 stars from Roger Ebert, which is shocking. The first film was from the writer of Anatomy of a Murder and The Poseidon Adventure, while this film was from the writer of America 3000. Who would have guessed it wouldn't be as good? While the film was written off as pointless exploitation, the filmmakers insisted the movie raises serious issues, such as the deteriorating state of our criminal justice system. See, so long as at some point you have a couple of characters argue about whether it's okay to shoot random muggers on the streets, let all the titties hang out that you want. As a response to the first film, author Brian Garfield actually did write a sequel to Death Wish titled Death Sentence, in which the addiction to vigilantism renders Paul Kersey a sad, lonely, sick man. Shall we show more of the trailer to prove even further that they decided not to go with that?
Death Wish 2. He's doing it for you.
But I didn't ask for this! A film version of Death Sentence was, however, made in 2007 starring Kevin Bacon. And as for the film Death Wish 2, I'm sure the actions of Paul Kersey took care of all the crime on the streets.
Bronson's back in New York, bringing justice to the streets. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 3.
Okay, seriously, people, you need to stop hanging out with Charles Bronson. Sure, he'll avenge your death, but at the end of the day, you will still die!
That's nice.